All right, we are live, ladies and gentlemen. I'm in high spirits today. It's a good day. It's a beautiful day. It's sunny out. The birds are chirping. My dogs are barking. Melderon Def Camp Dunedin in the house. How's it going?
Hey,
everybody.
Good morning, Azeroth. Yes.
Love it.
How the hell are you?
How the hell are you, Azeroth? Hope you're all doing well. Melderon chilling with the beer as well. He's drinking something better than me. I went top shelf today with the Coors Light. This is American piss water at its finest.
Oh, you guys.
I don't know if PBR is any different, but
I'll trade you, man. I'll trade you 2 of these for one of those, if anything. But
if I can transfer it, I would. If I can like conjure PBR, rank 1.
You guys live in a trailer park? Is that what it is?
Yes. You're looking at my trailer right behind me, right? Yeah, right there's the trailer. This is one of those silver-lined trailers. Anyway, guys, welcome to the show. What is this, number 7? I put number 7. I sure hope it's number 7.
Sure.
It is.
It's number 7.
Okay, I just guessed. I took a wild guess. But that is great. So thanks for hanging out with us today, guys. We're doing it one day early. We usually do it on Thursday, but we were just so excited. We just really
couldn't wait.
We couldn't wait.
No.
So here we are, man.
All the nose.
Cargo's drinking at 11 a.m. like he's on vacation. You already know, John. You already know, dude. So, okay.
What are we talking about today, Cargos?
Well, we're going to do a cool show, a really fun show. Like, this is going to get nerdiness DEFCON 5. Like, we're about to... If you're not a super nerd, leave right now. Like, this is going to get deep, dude. We're going deep down the rabbit hole of nerdiness, way past D&D, all this, dude. We're reaching deep down, and we're going to talk about class fantasy today. Because I think even if you are, uber min-maxing tryhard, deep down, you may not want to admit it, but you fuck with the class fantasy. You like the.
Or do you?
I think they do. Do you think there are some people that are straight efficiency? I
absolutely know there are. The people that play gnomes, like, I want to play gnome because you get whatever the stupid little whatever it's called when you get out of little traps.
Escape artist, man.
Escape artist. Yeah. Or like, people who love to, I definitely think there are people out there who like, I'm going to play, dwarf because I get fear ward and I can get out and they can get out of diseases and stuff. And yeah, I definitely think there are people who don't, but I definitely think there are people who look at class fantasy.
But they still care a little bit about class fantasy. They're playing the dwarf, and I think they're deep down just like, man, dude, I'm not looking so hot today.
Like, see, I like playing the dwarf. I do, because everyone tells me I kind of have the temperament, and I remind them of dwarfs, even though I'm tall. But they say I'm like a fat dwarf, so I do like the dwarf mentality. No, I do.
Yo, we got a new member in the chat. It's been a couple weeks since we've got a new member, Jacob Stone. Jake Stone, welcome to the. I don't have a name for people who are part of the channel. You're just, a brother in arms, man. We'll call it that. Thank you very much. Welcome, dude. You're the Karzogs. Welcome, dude. Thank you very much for the membership, man. Really appreciate you. All right.
Yeah.
So, real quick update. How are you guys living? Are you guys,
living large?
Living large? How you doing?
Living large.
How's your week, man?
Same as last week, actually. It's pretty chill.
Last week. Yeah, not a lot of news updates or anything related to.
And not too much work, which is always good.
Oh. So. Well, they did confirm that the spell Blink will be in Classic.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, the spell Blink.
What?
And also, the spell Stealth will also be in Classic as well.
That's good news.
Yeah, they confirmed that. So
when did they confirm that?
I think it was at 12 o'clock yesterday.
Okay, nice.
Yeah,
I think we should start with a little bit of news.
News.
There was in my opinion, there is a little bit of news because I still follow the retail world first race, and I was checking the streams out yesterday and today and the days before. It was pretty exciting, and spoiler alert, because I'm going to say who won, but you never guess it.
Earmuffs.
It was Medded.
And it was Medded.
They also got world's second, so today they killed it again, which was quite exciting in my opinion. So they're the only guild who killed Jaina basically, and they did it twice. So that's a news for this week.
Who's world first pig mount? Anybody tracking that?
Probably
some guy, some noob named Karzog, apparently.
I low-key bought it. You're right, dude. I've been flying around on it all day.
I think it was Panzer.
was Panzer.
Panzer?
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised, dude.
Yeah.
Finger on the trigger, dude. Ready to go. Refresh the store mount, dude. Refresh the store, dude. Let's go. New pig mount. Easy clap.
Yeah.
So Jane is dead and pigs are flying.
Well, she's not dead. She's not dead.
Oh, she's not dead. Oh,
no,
of
no,
course, of course. So what is this beautiful lore that Blizzard decided?
She got reincarnated by a light forged undead.
Well,
So okay.
at 5% the fight ends and she teleports away.
And do you turn back into Alliance or Horde, or do you just stay as?
Yeah,
yeah.
you can only do the fight as Horde. So if you're Alliance,
Okay.
you will still be Horde, and then after a fight, I suppose.
And only as a
you'll turn
female
back.
blood off, right? That's what I heard.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you wipe, if you get permanently faction changed, that would
Yeah.
actually be dope.
Oh,
That would actually be dope, though. Oh,
Yeah, right.
man.
I was hoping for a secret phase. Because
No secret phase.
No secret phase.
Wow.
And
Wow.
the ending was pretty boring because she goes to 5% and then she just teleports and the fight is over and you don't know what happens. And there's a loot chest and then everything is cleared. Yeah.
That's beautifully written right there. Yeah. So speaking of Jaina, she is a Maggie, and the class fantasy of the mage is a pretty cool one. Who here loves the class fantasy of mages? Because I know I do. I love making bread and water.
Let's
I'm
define class fantasy first.
I'm like
real
JC.
Quick, real quick.
Yeah,
real quick.
Oh, so what does it
Let's
mean to
define
you?
it.
Yeah.
Let's define. I'm gonna put on this little nifty PowerPoint. As you guys know, I'm quite proficient in this program after all these months of experience.
He's a college professor now. It's great.
Yes. Where is it? There we go. So we're going to talk about class fantasy. All 9 classes. We're going to rip through them. We'll try and do it in a timely, efficient manner. Are we going to cover every aspect of the class? No. But that's all right. So here we go. Welcome, guys. First thing we're going to talk about is what is class fantasy? How would you guys personally define class fantasy? And we're asking the chat, too. So those of you here, because we don't have the answer. I don't think, maybe you guys do.
Yeah, like, why do you pick the class you pick?
What
is
that?
Just ability?
What does it mean?
Just spells, or is it something else?
Mm-hmm. What does it mean to you? The class fantasy of a thing. So let's go around. Let's go around the circle, the square.
Why don't you start off, Melderon? Because I know you made a vlog about this topic.
Yeah, I made a vlog about it. It's been like over a year ago about this, but basically it was like, what's my favorite class? And I didn't know what it was when I first started recording the vlog because I wanted to work through it as I was talking. So I think what class fantasy means to me is that if I have a character in the world, what is the best representation of myself? And I know that that's not really class fantasy, because each class has maybe has a set fantasy already from like Tolkien or RPGs in general. But for me, it's like, how well do I interact with that fantasy, and how well does that fantasy define who I am? So I think that's kind of how I look at it. But for me, it was Shaman, because they have a mix of all the things that I really enjoy. Like I like the physicality of the enhancement Shaman. I like the burst potential of elemental Shaman. I like being able to heal. Even maybe if they aren't the best tanks in the game, obviously, but they still can do it. And they have this ancient knowledge, or this learning, and this knowledge of nature and the ancestors and spirituality, and that just embodies me. So I think that's why Shaman speak to me so well. It's also the theory crafting portion of it as well. There's a lot of math that can be done with Shaman. There's a lot to analyze. So
yeah.
So it's that's just how I look at it. It's like, how well does that class define, represent me as my avatar in the world?
That's interesting, man. Because I know at an earlier time in your life you would have said warrior.
Yeah,
and you were different. Definitely. You were definitely a different person at that time.
So this changes over the course of your life.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah.
So when you think about class fantasy, you're thinking about it through the lens of you and your representation in the game. Am I reading that correctly?
I think it's an interaction between yourself and what the classical fantasy Tolkienian definition should be, right? So, but like Shaman and Warlocks are very interesting in that they don't have a Tolkienian basis, Tolkienian and or Dungeons and Dragons, right? So, Druids are in Dungeons and Dragons. Paladins obviously are in Dungeons and Dragons. So you have this like Shaman and Warlock are very Blizzard. They're very, very Blizzard. At least that's my opinion. In my opinion. every other class to me has a clear either Tolkienian or Dungeons and Dragons background to it.
So they don't have shamans in like Tolkien or whatever. I don't know.
No.
I don't know. Okay, gotcha.
No.
How would you define it?
Not really.
So I'm looking back at when I first made my first character, which was a rogue, and I would definitely say at that point the class fantasy didn't mean as much to me as it did now. I was more looking towards the race and the faction, believe it or not, because when I first played, I'm a huge Tolkien fan as well, a big fan of the elves and things like that. So I actually picked a knight rogue, and looking back on it, I definitely really did like the play style. I liked the stealthiness. It was very it helped me a lot, without getting ganked and things like that. But as I learned more about the game, I started to realize that I really liked this priest, this class, which was a priest. And the things that really caught me with priest was the fact that not only were they a healer, and not only did they, were argued to be some of the best healers in the game, but they also had this dark side to them as well, which was kind of like they were misunderstood, kind of not really just like kind of off the side, almost like this like little emo kid who's like emotional and shit. I don't know. I really got into the priest fantasy, and if you know me a little personally, like I've had some dark times in my past. I've had some issues, but overall, I think of myself.
He's also an emo kid, pretty bad too.
Yeah, I didn't listen to emo music, but
that was a joke. That was a joke.
I tear my heart open. I sold myself shut.
Yeah, a little MCR, never heard anybody. No, definitely not. But definitely metalhead all the way. So yeah. Anyway, I really, like I said, I had this dark side to me. Like I had a dark past. Not to fucking say. I had some issues. Okay, had some issues like we all do, and the priest really, absolutely, just it was like the class that really suited me. Because I have always been kind of a
because you're trying to like be more good or ish.
I don't know. I always saw myself kind of like as a people pleaser too. Like always, I was always looking for happiness outwards in other people and like justification from other people, and trying to But as I learned more about myself, after with my recovery and all, I really noticed that like I like to help people. I like to give, and being a healer is like. I'm kind of like that sideline, like that person who's like off the side. It's not really in the whole, I'm not really like up front in the battle and all that, which I do like sometimes. But being a healer, I'm kind of off to the side. But you're still this important role, right? You're still this quintessential, essential part of the team, And like we joked around, kind of like that rear commander, You're like a leader in a way, but you're also in your own little corner. So I don't know, something about the healer really rose to me. I really liked it. And then as I got to learn about different healers, I started to learn about paladins and how they have their blessings and things like that. In Classic WoW, I really like that. But it's really funny because a lot of the times, I don't know if anybody has this feeling. Sometimes I get sick of that, and I just want to go off on this dark tangent and play like a shadow priest or a rogue. I want to embrace the darkness inside, and so it's almost like this inner turmoil that I have going on, where like I have the need to do these things to make myself feel better, like whether it's giving or whatever. That's for me. That's what I like to do, because being someone who dealt with addiction, it was always looking for something in my life to make myself feel better. And for me, the only thing that wasn't a problem, something that was good that could make me feel about myself was helping other people. So I embraced that, but I also still like, and I like the mysterious, I really like mysteries and mysterious things and dark things, and I love like researching conspiracies, and even though I don't really believe in the alien shit, and I think that kind of has something to do with it, I just like the darkness. It's kind of I kind of like flirting with darkness, if you know what I mean. So I like that whole
flirting with darkness, like the shadow.
Yeah,
he's an emo kid,
I'm an emo kid.
Yeah.
I don't know what the fuck I'm saying.
I love flirting with darkness.
I don't know, man. I just like I said, I really didn't have. I was the person in the beginning who didn't care that much about class fantasy, and now I love it. Like,
bingo.
When I played a mage the other day, I like the fact that I'm a DPS, but I also can go up to somebody, give them a stack of food, give them a stack of water, give them a buff, and you're still this person who's helping out and giving, while you're also can be an asshole and go gank somebody. You know what I mean? I kind of like the play of both. So that's why Priest played a lot for me. Yeah, you're like this good person who does all this, but once in a while, don't piss me off.
You want to flirt with darkness?
Because I'm gonna
throw a little shadow
I'm
pain
gonna flirt with darkness. Such a little mind blast, shadow pain, and God, I'm gonna mind flay you and fear you, and silence you, and kill you. So
how about you doing it, Dane? How do you feel about class fantasy, man? How do you define it? Define it for me, man.
Yeah, I think Melderon, what Melderon said is pretty much what I think. With the difference that he said it's something that he can relate to, and something you are in real life, I suppose. That's what you said, right?
Or maybe it's something you're aspiring to be in real life.
Yeah. That's what I wanted to say. It's probably what you want to be, rather than what you really are. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it's definitely the most important thing when choosing a class, the fantasy. And what I always tend to go to the good classes and the good races, and I think that's normal, because if I watch movies like Lord of the Rings or whatever, I'm always rooting for the good ones as well. So I cannot make myself play something like a Warlock or a Rogue, even though I'm not like perfect in real life. Far from that. I mean, I'm not like the good guy, in my opinion, but I kind of want to be, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's hard to say, but I always tend to go for the green druid and hunter, or the good paladin, like the helping classes, the priest, something like that. So
I think that does say something about yourself too. You know, like you said, it kind of shows that you do want to do good and save people and help other people, and
in games anyway.
Yeah.
In real life, I suppose it's true as well, but
well, you are a teacher, right? I mean, that's kind of in line with that. You know, you're actually doing a really good service for society.
Yeah, that's true. But at first sight, people might say I make some hard jokes and stuff like that. Might have dark side, but that doesn't come when I look for a class. I don't want it to be there, so yeah.
Okay. I have a little bit of a different position on class fantasy. To me, I don't look at it through the lens of myself. I think class fantasy is like is disconnected from balance in the game and like the reality of the game. It's kind of this separate thing. It's when I look at the game from like a top-down perspective and I see the different classes and the different specs and how true and unique those specs are and classes are, and how they operate almost from a lore type sense within that world. If their skills reflect, kind of what I feel, it ties back to that Tolkienian type roots you're talking about, Melderon. I'm not really super experienced with that stuff, but just from watching Lord of the Rings and stuff like that, when I see a hunter, I see this ranged damage dealer, how they operate within the kind of
Legolas.
that RP type aspect, right? So I don't really look at it through my own self, but I do agree. Class fantasy is more important to me than I thought it would be. Even the type of thing, like I always, for a while, never really RP'd or anything like that. I always thought it was this kind of like weird thing, and I just never really gave it a shot or anything like that. And actually watching a lot of like Melderon's videos and a lot of these videos out there, it kind of made me realize, like, damn, I kind of do low-key care about what race I play, what class I play, because I don't want to play something that I don't think looks true to myself or cool to myself.
I kind of feel bad for people who pick races and classes and factions just based upon numbers.
Yeah.
Even though how much I value numbers, I mean, I love theory crafting, I love analyzing stuff, but at the same time, when that part of my life is over and I've done that and I've made an analysis and I've gotten results and that's all pushed aside, I play the game again and I'm like, okay, I forget all that shit I just did. Like, I may produce data that says, like, elemental is the shittiest way of leveling from 1 to 40. But you know what? I'll still do it because I want to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make
At
sense?
the end of the day, we're playing a role-playing game, right? And with all forms of entertainment, whether it be movies, even maybe music, I mean, it's stuff like that. You suspend reality, right? You suspend reality, you push it out. And no matter how try-hard you are, I still think deep down everyone has that a little bit. They're kind of suspending reality. And when you're at that character creation screen, I'd say even if you care about choosing the right facial hair or the right skin tone or whatever it is, I think there's a piece of you that is kind of into RP and shit, right? Back in the day, I would delete my characters because they didn't have the ability to change it. I would create someone and I would look at their portrait and I'd be like level 20 something. And I'd look at their portrait and I'd be like, dude, the portrait looks terrible, dude. I look like a fugazi looking jacked up orc. Like, I look terrible. I would delete it.
His Night Elf's face is like, why has he got this little thing going on? Like,
dude, he has a little dingleberry on his cheek. I'm not a fan of that. I would delete and redo it.
You know, it's so interesting though, dude. Like, I know people so every class has their stereotypical, rogues are dicks and, and warlocks are evil and this and that. But I know so many people out there, and I know, like, get you a little heated, car guys. But car guys, there's a lot of Karzog. I'm sorry, car guys. There's a lot of rogues out there that end up being the helpful type rogue. Early Bird's one of them. There's a lot of warlocks out there who end up being the helpful warlock who summons his buddies. And does things like that, and gives out health stones and does it without asking. I really think that yes, sometimes you can be the quintessential douchebag rogue, but sometimes you can embrace the fact that, like, I know Early Bird, he likes playing the stealth class that can do damage, but he also likes being the rogue that's gonna stun lock over doing out of doing DPS. He's gonna wanna pop out while you're dueling somebody else and getting ganked and help you out. He's not going to be the kind of rogue who just runs away and steals your shit.
So you're saying something interesting. So class fantasy can almost be flexible. You can kind of do what you want with the class.
Absolutely.
That's another piece.
And sometimes, like with me, like when I made my first character, I kind of jumped into it. I thought rogues. I thought rogues were really cool. I read the tooltip ability to stealth, and playing a lot of like RPG games. I thought, I didn't really play that many magical characters in my past and things like that. So, I'm coming more from like games of like Zelda, like the typical. I didn't want to play Warrior because I saw Melderon made his Warrior and it didn't look that fun to me, especially because he didn't really know how to play it at the time.
Yeah, definitely not.
But I didn't know how to play my Rogue at the time either. So I was like, okay, let me go with Rogue, and I had a lot of fun with it. But I molded that Rogue to mimic me, and not be a guy who ninja looted and I was mimicking. I was very noobish at the time, and I was doing a lot of stupid stuff. But I was helping people out. When someone was getting ganked, I would make sure I would help out as much as I could. If I did a dungeon, I would make sure that everyone else got the gear that they wanted first before I needed on something, and I would stun lock over doing DPS, and so I really think your personality can mold your character. But I think that at its core, there's going to be one class or maybe two that really suit you.
Let me piggyback off that, dude. When you guys really it's going to be almost the impulse answer. When you first logged into WoW, in the chat, light up chat, I want to see what you guys thought too. When you first loaded up World of Warcraft for the very first motherfucking time and you choose your faction, which faction did you choose and which class was the most interesting? What was your level 1 very first one? Because I think that does speak, it does say something.
Horde Undead was me.
But what was the class?
Dude.
What was
Night Elf Hunter.
Yeah, mine was an undead warrior, Cargos.
Because at that point, you guys had not factored in balance. You had not factored in any other implications other than the fantasy itself. You're looking at it, you're like, damn, dude, this guy looks badass.
Didn't look at the lore either. The lore. I didn't know much about the lore. I knew Warcraft 3 a little bit, but I didn't know the type of people that played on the Horde and played on the Alliance. I felt a lot more suited to the type of people that played on the Horde.
Okay, so Melderon was okay, my very first was Tauren Warrior. I have to say, I like being like this big bulky beast motherfucker.
I was Undead Warrior.
Undead Warrior, and then what would you say again? You said Night Elf Rogue.
Night Elf Hunter.
Night Elf Hunter.
I was Night Elf Rogue. He was Night Elf Hunter.
So you actually went Alliance, dude. Do you low key like Alliance more than Horde?
I will say this: I do like Alliance aesthetics more than Horde. So I like the buildings. I like the leveling zones. Like I love. Not all the leveling zones. I do like. I mean, I do like the I don't like the Barons that much. I will admit it. I'm not a huge fan of the Barons.
Oh, I love the Barons.
I do love Tearsfall. Tearsfall's one of my favorite zones.
Great, yeah.
But I will say, like Lochmadan, Westfall, Duskwood, those zones for me are a lot more fun, and I had more fond memories in those zones than I did in the Barons.
What gender did you guys choose? Be honest.
Always
be
male.
honest. Was it always male?
All except for once in Legion, because I thought that eventually I thought that female Blood Elf was actually a little less gay than male Blood Elf. So,
all right. So what did you guys? Was it all male? If you chose female for the first time, just it's all good, dude. We're all little.
So literally, the only time I've ever made a female character was when I was making the Classic WoW Tales Dun Row, and I had to make a female dwarf.
Okay. What about you, doing that?
What DevCam said, I always make a male except for the elves, blood elves, night elves. I always make a female because the males are super.
But wait, you made a night elf first, though. Did you go night elf male first?
Yeah, that's true.
Did you?
A night elf female first.
You went night elf female, very first character.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, that's true.
There's something here, dude. There's something here.
So why did people play female though? What made you want to? Was it just the fact that you didn't like the male aesthetics? Okay.
Yeah. But what you say is super interesting, because if I choose a new character now, I try to think of World of Warcraft without knowing everything about it. So I try to think of the classes without knowing what spells they have, and everything basically. So I tend to choose purely on class fantasy.
Class fantasy. So are you a little bit disconnected with your character? Because this is one thing we wanted to answer, right? So with me, I swear on my life, go through my armory, whatever. I have never in my entire life rolled a female, just because I kind of do low-key feel like I need to actually have that be the embodification of myself in the game in some sort of shape or form. But I think some people care more about creating...
I like being a man way too much to be...
But I think some people may not want to be a female, but they want to create a class fantasy that's cohesive for that character, and they treat it as like a character in a storyline. They want to create a female story, and
like look at Diablo 2. You had the the Amazon had all these female badass characters that were fun to play. A lot of people just like to play female characters, and I don't think I personally don't like that. I mean, can someone here who plays, because I know people who only will play female, and I don't understand.
The main reason they've told me. The main reason they've told me that somewhat made sense to me, because I could never wrap my head around it. All my close friends who play WoW, they all played female characters. They love it, dude. It's kind of a trendy thing for good PvPers to play female. And what they were telling me was that they love the animations. The animations are dope to them.
That's true, man. If you check the animations of the Night Elf Hunter, the female is way better than the male, in my opinion.
But I would feel like I would be debating people if I went in there and I went female. I don't know. I would feel like it would be a debate.
There's that aspect of it too, right? Yeah. When I was playing my female Blood Elf Paladin, and she was only female for like 2 months because I got so sick of male. People would ask me all the time, "Are you female IRL?" I was like, "No," and it just felt so weird being asked that question. It's okay, like, if you're in a guild and everyone knows your character, but...
Yeah, I think playing a female character, you get a small percentage of what it's like to be a woman.
It's entirely true.
You know what I mean? Imagine, and I don't want to... I feel bad. I mean, I'm a guy. I used to be young. I used to be in my early 20s. And, I would not want to be a woman in this world, just for the sole fact of how men... are just always trying to get in your pants.
Hey, babe.
Always.
Hey,
I made a female human paladin once in real classic, and I leveled it to level 25 maybe, and I got so much free gold.
That's a great question. So PS Smiles just asked the question, as a guy, do you treat a female toon differently?
Okay, so I know in my mind, logic, my brain, 90%, 95%, I'm thinking this guy's a dude, but I still kind of struggle. Sometimes I will almost accidentally be like, yo, you took her or whatever, or like, oh yeah, she said whatever while I'm typing. There's still something low-key that you kind of reflexively, you see a female character in the game. So
are you chivalrous with female characters?
Not chivalrous, but I do, even though my brain will tell me that 95% of the time this is a male, because it's a female in the game, I will reflexively refer to this character as a her or a female. That's all I'm gonna say.
See, it's interesting because I have a similar feeling, but then, so like the other day, there was this female night elf, and she was messing around, ganking people, And in my head, I know that's a dude. If it's a dude, a lot of dudes love to play like female night elf, and but I might, people don't jump on me here. A lot of female tend to play either hunters or priests, right?
Yeah, that's true.
And I notice when you can kind of sometimes notice by like the gameplay. I'm not saying that they're different, that they're worse players, but a lot of females play differently. A lot of female players are like more prone to like playing a hunter and going out and PvEing and like doing that. I never really met like a balls of the wall female PvPer. I just
here's another thing I'm thinking about, dude. Here's another thing. So let's say that you're a person that you want to play a female and you like the animations, right? How come they name it a female name?
How come they what?
How come they name it like, Jemima? How come they name it Jemima? Dude, how come they're naming it like Clarice? Like,
we had someone on our Dev Talk who made a female character and named it like a male character. He was like, I'm going to do it just so people know that I'm not really a female.
Oh yeah, it was Game of Pass 30. His first character was like,
So what I would say,
female troll, and he named it Mandia, so it had the word man in it, so people would know he was a man.
Yeah.
So what I would say is I think the people that even like the animations, they still low-key RP as a female a little bit because they sneak in the old Jemima name or the old, they're calling
Jemima
it,
name.
Dude, they're calling it Jemima, dude. Like, why isn't the name like,
come here and sit
Robert,
on Aunt Jemima's lap.
Robert.
But it suits the character.
Hempstead, whatever, dude.
Yeah. So we had the MMO girl was one of our first Dev Talks, and she was like, she's had some really poor, but she said most of the time it's a fine interaction, there's no issue, but there have been issues where she's had really shitty interactions with guys that found out that she was really a girl, and I wonder if a lot of females play male characters so they don't have to deal with that shit.
I've always wondered that, dude. I've always wondered that. Like, are half the dudes that you're running around with actually female? No idea.
Yo, actually, some of the best girl gamers I've seen in WoW, not only did they name male characters, but they didn't have even a really female name. I don't know. That's just that's anecdotal. But one dude said he had a female character, but his rogue lady was named Isa Man. I love that, dude. I don't know, but okay, I do think it's fair though. Like, if you wanted to roll a female character, and for whatever reason you're high enough brow where you don't necessarily need to see yourself as that character. This is a character who has a story, and you have no problem being male or female, and you just want to like live out the story of that character. That kind of makes sense to me. I don't know, but not something.
Humongous is the best ever. Humongous.
Yeah.
I just like I personally, like, I've played with female players before in guilds and things like that, and a lot of female players, I've never met, I will say this, there was, in my last guild, the female player who, she did play, she played a female undead, and she did PvP sometimes and stuff like that, but like 99% of the time, of course 99% of the time they are a male, right? But if you lined up 5 female players and 5 male players, I guarantee you I can give you those 5 female players not only by their character but by their play style. I guarantee you.
Interesting.
Maybe that's sexist. I don't know.
That sounds a little sexist to me.
No, and I'm not saying their play style is bad at all. I'm not saying that. Just like by the way. Different. Yeah, by the way they play the game, not their play style, more the way they play the game.
I wouldn't say in my own anecdotal experience, I've seen without the play style, but with the way they treat you in game, I've noticed a little bit of a feminine touch with the chat though. Like with the chat,
that's what I mean.
They're a little bit just honestly fucking
more
like,
smiley
face, better communication,
like that,
just
nicer.
More empathetic.
But how do you know that's not a guy role playing as a woman?
It very well could be, dude. That could be doing the day's hunger, man. I don't know. At the end of the day,
I could be going to ask: are we talking about real female players or female?
Well, they don't exist. That's right. Never mind.
They don't exist. All right, let's talk about the actual classes now. We're probably not even gonna have time to do them all. But
sorry, it's an interesting topic though. I think.
Why? Can I just say, in my original guild, all our priests were female night elves or humans. So what DevCam says is really true. We had not a single male priest.
Dude,
same goes for druids, by the way. We only had female druids.
Yeah, 99% of females that I met either play druid, priest, or hunter.
I'm wondering what class a female generally. Dude, much love to the females, all 1.5% of you. I'm just saying, fucking, what class are they least likely to play? I wonder.
Yeah, I can say my girlfriend is playing.
Are there any females in this chat? Well, maybe I shouldn't say that because I don't want guys like spamming you with messages now.
I wonder.
But I think females are most likely to play hunters.
Really,
usually.
More than priests?
Yes, because
druids, I think.
Well, I have actually personally, I think I've come across more hunters just because I think females like the aspect of getting pets and stuff like that a lot.
Are you sure they're females though, dude? Because a lot of people hate the goofy male.
I mean, no,
I've
met
look,
like these girls. Like, remember Mari? Like guildies, people that me and Meldown have had. And then second to that have been priest and then druid. In my particular experience, and I do think that they like that motherly role of being like a healer. Not motherly, but that caring role of being like a healer. You know, I have very rarely come across, and I know they're out there. I've seen female main tanks tank a warrior, but it's very rare. I don't think there are many. You know, are there female rogues out there? Female
Warlock.
Which is same thing. You see it too, like in games like League of Legends and other games. Like you do see lots of females that will be like the support healer role and stuff like that. It's like a commonality amongst all the games. But anyway, there's not a whole bunch of use like dwelling on it too much. Anyway, so we're talking about class fantasy, guys. This is BlizzCon 2015. They did a cool panel. I guess it was during Legion where they were talking about class fantasy.
Yeah.
And Dunedin actually saw it. I didn't watch it. I just saw an article about it. And they were trying to define what class fantasy is, and they're going through the different classes, talking about some of the design choices they made. So they really broke it down into 3 categories. They broke it down into immersive gameplay, so immersion level, distinctive gameplay, so how unique the class is, I guess, and then empowering gameplay. I don't know what that means, really, but let's talk about it. So we're going to start off with the mage. Immersive gameplay. Just chime in if anything comes to you, dude. Empowering, distinctive, immersive.
I suppose they mean like arcane mages do high amount of damage and are highly unstable, something like that.
And are prone to tunneling and bypassing mechanics and just doing the DPS and then screaming at the healers.
So sorry, what is this X/10? What does that mean? Sorry,
I was gonna fill it in. Like I was gonna fill it in.
Oh,
like,
1 out of 10 has it. Okay, I see what you're saying.
Whatever. Like
immersive gameplay, I'd say really high. I mean,
yeah, I think for mages, like a lot of mages that I know, love that. Love to be a spellcaster, right? They like to be ranged DPS. They like doing high amounts of damage. You know, a lot of really good PvPers out there who play mages. I do, however, notice that there are a lot of there are even mages out there, like we were talking about, who, you know, a lot of them like to bitch and complain about giving out water and food and shit like that. But you still have that aspect of not only being a DPS, but kind of helping out the group, right? You're doing more than just DPS. You're providing a service with portals, with making food, water, with buffing. So I think you get a wide range of playing a mage. You definitely have that. You're the quintessential wizard, you know, the person where your arcane knowledge. You have the elements of fire, frost, and arcane. And for overall, I think you are just a quintessential caster.
Mm-hmm.
And I know a lot of people who gravitate towards that are just people who love to do DPS. So like people who like to see their name on top of that DPS chart and it not be a brown a little thing, because warriors usually there are, you know, they tend to go mage if they're not playing warrior.
Okay, well, I'll chime in with aside from the gameplay, what I would define as a mage class fantasy. I'm just spitballing off the top. One, they're kind of like the purist caster. Like they're into like the good magic, the arcane magic. They're not into the throwing up dots and shit. They like the fucking arcane missiles. That's like the clean, pure, like holy magic type shit. I guess not holy magic, but also they're kind of soft. They're kind of squishy. You know, they're not brolic really. Like they're kind of.
Who you call soft, bro?
I don't really imagine a mage as fat. I imagine him as skinny. Like I imagine these skinny little mages, like too. You know, and he may not have the brawn, but he'll hit your ass with a frostbolt and erase you. You know, like and so they're a little bit softer, more purist magic. Like they're kind of the good guys.
Glass cannon.
They're smart. I think
smart.
The first word that comes into my mind. Is
Smart.
The
Intellect. They're well spoken, right? They're like the bourgeoisie of the WoW world. They're chilling with Antonitis up in the castle. They're talking about all the high level stuff. They went to college, college educated. They got the advanced knowledge, and their shortcomings is that if maybe they're out of mana, they're glass cannon. They're kind of soft. They can't really take a broadsword strike to the face, man.
They also have a very strong presence in the form of CC. So, like, when there's a mage there, right? Because they're either freezing people, doing damage, CCing. So I'd say they have a very strong presence.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and they control the battlefield.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. All right, so that's my interpretation of what the mage class fantasy is. I don't know. Just chime in on anything. Class fantasy.
How about you,
Ron?
Yeah, I think it's like a learned, someone who's seeking knowledge at all times. Someone who's trying to learn about the elements. But magical. So there's the other shaman who's learning about the elements in a much different way.
Mm-hmm.
So the shaman's learning about the elements through, talking to other elder shaman or communing with the spirits. Whereas a mage is looking at an old dusty tome, reading spells, going to a library. It's a totally different way of learning.
Mm-hmm.
And they're more of they're the most educated class. If you were thinking about they're learning from mages of Dalaran, they're learning from think about it, they're like scientists of the time, right?
Theoretical scientists. And shamans are more like empirical scientists.
Yeah, that's really good.
That's a cool little. That's cool, man. I like that. Yeah, there's a cleanliness about mages. There's cleanliness and delicateness about a mage, right? I don't expect to be in the trenches out in out in some contested territory. I'm gonna be looking left and right, and I'm gonna see rogues and warriors to my side. I don't expect to see a mage with his fucking skirt rolled up and his sleeves rolled up, and he's like, "Hey, what's up, man? Let's go, ready to go." Like I imagine him in the tower of Dalaran, like throwing out a missile from 400 miles away. Yeah.
Dalaran.
Dalaran.
Do you have the thing Blizzard said in 2015? Do you have it somewhere?
No, I just had that one little screenshot. Do you remember what it was?
Okay. No. They had a whole text about it, I know.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But they discussed mage in 3 different specs, and they had a whole fantasy for each of the 3, which is something I think is interesting. Do you think the old talent trees are better, or are the new talents? Is a new talent system better for fantasy?
Get out of here.
For
Absolutely
fantasy,
not.
the old, I like
the old.
Yeah,
because you have so much more choice.
Yeah, the reason I ask, I think the old one is better, but suppose Blizzard thinks if they split in 3 distinct specs or classes, even they can work on the fantasy better. You can have like an arcane mage, which is entirely different from a frost mage in their mind anyway. But I don't know. What do you think about it?
Which of the 3 specs do you think is most true to the mage class fantasy? Or maybe, I'm thinking about it now, maybe all 3 are equal, dude. I don't know.
Well, I think the original mages of the arcane knowledge, I always thought arcane.
I think arcane is the real one, yeah.
Yeah, that's how I feel.
It's the least played one, but I think arcane is is what it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
Shooting these arcane missiles and arcane explosion.
Yeah. And arcane mana shield and stuff like that.
And mana shield, all these other things. Whereas the fire and frost. Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, that's a very classical mage. But look at Gandalf, right? Gandalf doesn't use any elemental magic. He uses
That's true. Yeah.
Gandalf uses sword though too, so he really.
But mages can use swords. But if you ever notice this kind of stuff, he uses sleight of hand and tricks and light damage.
That's right. That's true.
And the only time I've ever seen him use an actual spell was in that horrible adaptation of The Hobbit, the first one, where he kind of puts a mana shield over himself. I don't know if you remember that. Yeah. So that's the only thing,
It's like white light that he's using, right? Even when he's fighting that Balrog thing on the bridge, you never... I don't know if you saw him cast, a frostbolt or something. I don't know.
I love when he, makes himself, bigger, and, when he gets angry and he, yells at Bilbo. That was cool.
Yeah, it's all about, it's almost like sleight of hand magic. It's not really
Gandalf is a priest, says, Matthias.
Priest. I mean, kind of.
Yeah, he kind of is a priest, yeah.
Holy shit. But
the other thing I'm actually thinking about right now. So we listed these 3 categories of immersive, distinctive, and empowering, and I almost regret doing so, but maybe I don't regret doing so because these 3 categories came out in Legion, right, where this was much more of an issue. In Classic, dude, I almost feel like all 3 are maxed out for all the classes, dude. They're so distinct.
Absolutely.
They're so immersive.
They are
absolutely.
They're so empowering,
crazy.
dude.
You know, they had to really go into this at that panel because they were already so homogenized at this point. They had to point them out for us because they didn't trust us to be able to find them ourselves.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, yeah, I don't know. I think we covered Mage pretty well. We can move on.
Okay, gotcha. All right. Want to let the chat decide? We did it yesterday. That worked pretty good.
Yeah.
Chat.
So who do you want to see next?
Chat. Put in the chat. What class you want to see next? Let's show some class support, some class love right now. We got almost 200 people in the house right now, dude. I absolutely love this, dude. This is amazing. This is probably our best one yet, man. I'm really happy you guys are all hanging out.
Someone said Rogue.
Warlock, Rogue.
I know Cargo's wants to do Rogue.
You guys know how much I love Rogues.
Warlock, Rogue, Paladin, Shaman, Hunter.
A lot of Warlock, Hunter.
Hey, only one per person.
Don't spam too much, bro. Let me see. Let me count.
I see a lot of Hunter.
I see a lot of Warlock. I see a lot of Rogue.
Rogue this man.
Yeah.
Oh, my favorite class. We doing my favorite class.
Let's do it, Karzog.
My favorite. I just love Rogues, man. They just.
So why do you love
Everything
Rogue so much, huh? Demon Hunter.
Oh my god.
Monks. Yeah, let's do monks.
All right, let's do Rogue. Okay, someone throw out there what you define as a Rogue class fantasy. You don't want to hear my interpretation of it, dude. I'm gonna shit on them too hard.
Bastard. All right, a Rogue is for me.
Thief. Sorry, fuck. I can't restrain myself. Keep going.
is a stealth assassin, right?
No, you know what? Hold on, wait. Before we get into that, like what we think rogues are, let's take characters from popular fantasy and say who would a rogue be? I think one of them, first one that came to my head, even though I'm not a huge fan of them, was Pirates of the Caribbean. What's the main character? What's his name?
What, Orlando Bloom? Whatever.
No. Johnny Depp.
Johnny Depp.
Oh yeah.
What was his character's name?
My bad.
You would think he's a rogue?
He's neutral, dude. He's like he's totally neutrally aligned.
For me, I think about the Marvel. Who's that dude who's up in all black?
Jack Sparrow. Thank you.
No. Oh, Jack Sparrow. Yeah. Who's the Marvel guy? What's he called? Like he's called him and the Spider Girl. What are they called?
I don't know what you're saying.
Yeah, you know the Marvel movies. Anybody here a Marvel fan?
Not. Don't follow it too closely.
Yeah, I'm not either. But somebody in chat will know. So he's basically like this
Aladdin.
Come on, somebody who's a Marvel fan.
Aladdin was a rogue. Confirmed.
Nightcrawler.
Confirmed.
Yeah, Nightcrawler. And like kind of like the other dude.
Sure it was Nightcrawler?
I think Nightcrawler. Maybe.
Dude, I think of a rogue.
Hawkeye. That's it. Hawkeye and Black Widow.
Everything I'm gonna say is just trigger people, dude.
So
Catwoman is a rogue to me, dude. They're little
Catwoman. They're stealthy. They're assassins, almost like a ninja.
Batman,
kind of like a ninja.
Too. Batman.
Batman's a rogue. Daredevil
was Warlock, though.
That's what I'm thinking of. Daredevil.
Okay.
Daredevil.
So really don't know any.
They have a lot of agility. They have a lot of stamina, right?
Yeah, Hawkeye's
a lot of stamina, but they have a lot of agility. They're able to. They're almost like ninjas, assassins.
Gambit from X-Men.
Gambit. There you go. Okay, we got our So they're very dangerous. Very they're assassins. They may use poisons to kill people.
Dude,
sleight of
Robin
hand.
was such a rogue. You're right, dude. And
Robin was a friggin'
Robin's a paladin. Robin's a paladin.
I knew you were gonna say Robin was a paladin.
With this little Zorro was a rogue, dude.
Widowmaker. So anyone who has a lot of very quick, very agile. Jackie Chan would be like a rogue.
Xena Warrior Princess.
Xena, no.
No, just
So basically, you're an assassin. You have a lot of stealth. You also have, like, I would say, the code of of that kind of like what do they call it? The code honor among thieves. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where you do have a sense of honor, but it's the honor among thieves. You're kind of like on the edge, on the fringe of society, almost like a pirate. Very much like a pirate.
Jack Sparrow.
They played more into that later with the whole outlaw spec. Yeah. But in the original WoW, you have the subtlety, combat, and assassination, right? And you really have the assassination shine. I think you really get that feeling and I think all three of them blend together very well. Combat, you're more of like out there doing damage, but with assassination and subtlety, it's really that core, almost like a ninja. And that's why a lot of people I think who enjoy like ninjas and that kind of things play rogues as well too. It's not that sneaky. It's not just that sneaky assassin. It's also that cool, almost like.
I also like the whole spy class fantasy.
Yeah,
too.
The spy class fantasy. Also, cool. The poison class fantasy. A lot of people love the play on poisons and how you're a poison crafter. The lock picking as well. So I think there's a lot of class fantasy with Rogue, and a lot that people kind of pass them and say, "Oh, they're dirty, they're cheap."
I think they're kind of a darker class.
My name's Karzag, and I get ganked by them all the time, and I just hate them.
I think they're kind of a darker class. They have a little bit of that thief type identity to them. I have to say, they're not like the harbingers of the light or whatever. The thing about rogues, okay.
Absolutely.
So thinking about rogues, man, rogue is like light armor. That's what I think when I think rogue. I think he's like throwing a fucking shuriken or a knife or something at someone. Like I think he's kind of skinny. I don't think he's fat. I think he's in shape. I think he's probably got a 6-pack. He's wiry. He has high dexterity. I'm thinking of the kids in school that they weren't jacked, but they were quick. They were quick. They're nimble on their tippy toes. Just dancing around and death of 1,000 cuts. And I don't know. That personally doesn't really speak to me. I want to be the big brolic dude, big ass shoulder pads, big ass axe, one cleave, taking out 4 or 5 rogues. Like that sounds cooler to me. But
what about when you play Hunter though? Is that a different?
It's entirely different.
I would say Hunters have a lot in common with rogues.
No,
you're wearing chainmail though, fam.
Yeah, I understand that, but they're also. They're not.
No, I think the best hunter is what's his name? The Machnathal. What the fuck is his name? The guy who walks around Desolus.
Yeah.
The half ogre, half orc.
What the hell? Rexar. You're talking about Rexar? Rexar's a hunter.
Rexar is like what a hunter should be. Yeah. That's like classical hunter to me.
He's brolic.
Like he's not a rogue. Definitely not a rogue.
No, I know they're not a rogue, but I do think they have more similarities than they have
more similarities than a paladin and a rogue. Okay, fine.
Yeah, well, I think they even have more similarities than maybe like a warrior and a rogue.
But you see, like a hunter more like a ranger. Why? Because I think of a ranger if I think of a hunter, and then I think of Aragorn from Lord of the Rings, and I can see why you say they have some similarities with a rogue.
They do. They are a little stealthy in a way. They can be an assassin, or they can be the aspect where they can also be a ranged assassin, or they can be the part where they play mostly on the pet. They also have survival
I play
stuff.
rogue only to roleplay as Activision.
That's pretty funny. You're just ninjaing all of the.
Think about the other aspect of a hunter, though, is I think hunter is kind of a survivalist. He's out in the field.
Yes.
He's out in the field with his pet.
Yeah,
he's
survivalist.
Basically like Rambo. You're like
he's
Rambo.
like Bear Grylls with a dog.
Fucking Rambo. You got your dog.
You're
got
Rambo.
your wolf by your side, dude. You kind of will man up on people, whatever it is. When I think rogue, I think like they need to do kind of weird shit to survive. They need to go rob this guy. They need to go like poison this guy and take all of his shit. Like
that's not that okay. I think you're going a little. I
agree. They are like the company in Prison
I do like Drew CW's. So Rogue is a city boy. Hunter is a country bumpkin. I think that's a Rogue
Assassin's
is more like
Creed. Yeah,
he's
you're
like more in the like dark alleyways. Think about dark alleyways.
Yes.
He's like.
But now you're making a rogue sound more like an actual. Like I think you guys have this idea.
It's a classical D&D.
It is, but like you guys are making it sound like every rogue is like a criminal.
No, that's not
They
true.
have a skill called pickpocket, man.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
you
but
can be in that dark alley.
Okay,
but still
Robin
be a
Hood
good guy.
used to steal, right? And he was like a hunter. Okay.
Wait,
Robin Hood.
Okay,
Steal from
steal from the rich.
Robin Hood is more of a rogue than a hunter. Definitely more of a rogue than a hunter.
Yeah, I was going to say that too. I think he's more of a rogue.
Because remember, rogues can use bows, so it doesn't mean like
Yeah.
So no, even though just because you're in a dark alleyway doesn't mean you're a bad guy, right? A lot of good things are done in the world. Like, look at the CIA, all these undercover operatives that are like doing.
Rogues are very neutral. They're very.
If you think about all the verbiage of their skills, though, dude, their skills are like related to assassinating people, poisoning people, stealing from people. Does that sound like the kind of guy you want to invite over for supper? I don't know.
I mean,
well, people like that.
Would you invite
people like that keep
Navy SEAL?
People like that keep this country safe.
Yeah, Navy SEAls. That's what I'm saying.
The CIA operatives, like undercover operatives.
You wouldn't invite a Navy SEAL over for dinner?
I would invite a Navy SEAL over for dinner.
That's what I'm saying.
But
I think
SI7. He said SI7 aren't good. They defend the alliance though. Don't they?
we can argue if the CIA is good all day.
The CIA are no way. Okay, let's talk about MK Ultra. Was that good? No. Okay, so anyway.
Oh man,
let's not get into politics. Anyway,
yeah. Okay. So rogues, I would say they're morally neutral. Do you guys agree with that?
Morally neutral? No. Do I think they're the scummiest?
They are true neutral. No, they're true neutral.
No, I think they are more to the dark side.
Me too.
Always.
Okay, I think that's what you guys.
I think they're neutral in the sense that they're like mercenaries. They don't care what faction. I don't think they have allegiance to any faction.
Do you guys know the D&D alignments? Do you guys know how to do that?
No, I don't.
All right, let me show you the picture. I'll send it to Cargos.
Okay.
What do you guys think in chat? Do you guys think rogues are morally neutral, or do they tend to be more evil?
Even if they work for the good guys, they still do those
chaotic
jobs.
Right? They do dirty jobs, yeah. But doesn't every don't warriors do dirty jobs also?
Yeah.
I mean, you could argue that
the nature of the rogue.
You could even argue that blood elf paladins are evil and dirty. You know,
they are.
Yeah,
Cargos, I don't know if you could put that into on top of the screen, but that's like how D&D does alignments.
I see lawful good, neutral good, chaotic good.
Chaotic neutral.
Interesting.
Well, the humans are. They can be chaotic good, neutral, or evil. Yeah. So I mean, they start out neutral, right? And you can assign yourself if you want to be the evil douchebag rogue. Are you going to go out there and ninja loot off everyone? Okay, now
is this the class you're picking though? If you're trying to be some altruistic good guy rogue, I feel like you're picking any other class in that game.
I think you can. I think there are people who like Early Bird who like the playstyle of the rogue and go out of the way to make his rogue a morally good rogue.
But then, the way I see it, you're more like a really skillful warrior with daggers or swords. But then you're a combat rogue.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that would be more of a combat rogue, right? Because like there are people who go out of their way to be the douchebag asshole rogue. There are also people who go out of their way to be the nice. Let me help you. Let me open this door for you so you guys can run DM north. I can, I'll make sure I cheap shot over eviscerate and help the group. And I'm not gonna open this lockpick chest and just steal everything. I'm still gonna roll. I'll open your lockpicks for free. I'm not going to charge you this and that. There are the people who can play and assign good to their character. So I would say, do more people maybe, are they drawn to the rogue because of some of those aspects which can be negative? Yeah, maybe, but not every rogue who plays a rogue goes for that.
So there's some redeeming qualities to the rogue potentially.
Yeah, I think just like every class, there are some redeeming qualities.
All right, let's go next, man. Let's do.
What do you guys want next?
Before you guys do that, I'm going to dip out. So what I'm going to do is I'll leave myself connected, Cargos.
Okay, cool.
I'll just turn off my camera so I won't screw up your screen.
Okay, cool. Thanks, man. Appreciate that, bro.
No problem.
Okay.
See you later.
All right, guys. See ya.
Peace out,
See you, Phil. See you, bro.
Bye.
So what do you guys want to see next? I'm seeing Warlock. I see 1, 2, Warlock. Druid, Priest, Hunter, Paladin, Hunter. Another Warlock. I think we got a few Warlocks.
Let's do Warlock.
Okay. Yeah.
All right. Warlock.
So, speaking about evil, I think...
yeah.
What happened in my head?
Yeah.
Oh, I'll fix it.
So we had my two least favorite.
Yeah. And this is funny, Cargos, because you like Warlocks, right?
Do I like it? I do like Warlocks, yes. Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Oh, there he is. He's back. Okay. I do like Warlocks. Okay, so, all right, right off the bat, let me think. So we have the mages, right? The good guy mages. They got straight A's in school. They're smart. They learn about the arcane. I think the Warlocks were the ones that were potentially, from a matter of perspective, potentially even smarter. Like, they were like, okay, screw this. I don't need to subscribe to all this this traditional way of thinking. It's more powerful to go this way. I don't need to play by the rules or whatever. So I'm gonna tap into this whole new area of magic because it's it's cooler to me. It's more powerful. They have more flexible morals than a mage.
Right.
What do you think?
It's interesting because I think Warlocks at first were evil, especially with Gul'dan. With the idea of the Warlocks using the Fel as this kind of negative energy. But then I think the way I see it is they started using those abilities for their own good. You know what I mean? So like, where I almost feel like the origins of the Warlock were evil, but I don't think they are that anymore. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but I feel like if the Warlock needs to, he will go back to evil.
Yeah,
it gives him more power.
I think so. I think Warlocks kind of have this temptation at all times to
be self-serving. I'd say.
Yes.
Self-serving, and I think there can't. So the first question, just a yes or no answer. Do you think there can be good guy Warlocks with good intentions who can be?
Absolutely.
Yeah, but they can be, but
it's going to be harder for them.
Yeah, they will always use the how do I put it? The dark magic, if they have to. I mean, they will probably use it for good things.
But what's wrong with using the dark magic? Is there anything? Yeah. I don't even know how it works really, but I mean, is it bad to use the demon magic? Is there anything other than arbitrary?
I don't think it's bad. I think it's what they have in their equipment set. You know what I mean? They use what they have. I think a lot of Warlocks, like, okay, you look at, I don't know the whole lore and how Warlocks came, but from what I understand, the first Warlocks were from the Horde, right? I don't think there were Warlocks before that, were there?
I'm not sure.
From what I know.
I mean, you got Big Gul'dan.
Yeah. Kind of Warlock.
I know there's human Warlocks and all that, and like, but were they around? Do you know that, Phil? Were human Warlocks around before Orc Warlocks? Or were Orc Warlocks the first Warlocks?
I think they wanted to learn demon. So the Kirin Tor didn't want anyone to learn those certain books. So
Right.
And certain people wanted to learn that.
So what Melderon is saying is he thinks that the Kirin Tor found out about the Fel and all this and tried to hide those books away, but then there were people who found those books and stuff like that. But
Kel'Thuzad is a good example.
Like Kel'Thuzad, right? You know what I mean? But it was, I think, the Orcs who kind of brought the Warlock. They brought it back into the world. You know, like the Fel was almost forgotten about in Azeroth until the Orcs came back.
So the Orcs learned Warlock magic from Dan,
and Gul'dan learned from the Burning Legion. So it officially comes from the Burning Legion, but like the Kirin Tor still knew about Fel before the Orcs came. So that's the 2 cents. So, but I would say that it was definitely the Orcs that made.
It's interesting. Like, so if the magic is coming from the Burning Legion, that's like the common enemy of Azeroth, right? So I could see why some people would say.
But is it coming from there, or is it the magic that they use? You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's rather the magic that they use. But I see Warlocks more like mages who wanted to get stronger and more powerful, and they didn't want to go the arcane way, studying and stuff, and they rather go the dark way.
More flexible morals. They don't mind just like
arcane missiles. Drain souls, more like it.
Right. Who do you think is stronger though, Warlocks or mages? Do you think Warlocks actually have the edge in power level over mage? Not from a balance standpoint in the game.
I think no. In my opinion, they can both be equally.
Yeah, I think so as well.
Powerful.
I think they can both be equal. Like in the regards of like, could Khadgar defeat Gul'dan? You know what I mean? Or Medivh beat, Gul'dan when he was the good guardian. I think
it feels like a really strong arcane mage had to put like a lot more effort in it to become as powerful. That's just a feeling of probably not true.
I think Warlocks embrace chaos. They embrace it, and maybe try to bring order to it in a way.
I think mages can use the dark magic, but they don't want to. So in order to not get tempted to become a Warlock, they just don't use it ever. And Warlocks, they used it once and then they kind of kept on using it and they forgot about the normal ways of magic.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Are there any movie characters
that are Warlocks?
Like Melderon was saying, Warlocks are a very Blizzard idea.
I just think like Star Wars with fucking Anakin, right? Like that's the classic one. He went over to the dark side and got. But he's not a Warlock, But
Darth Vader's more like a friggin' Death Knight than anything, though, right? I mean, like even though he's not dead, but I mean,
another thing about Warlocks is they face prejudice, right? They're not like I think a lot of people don't trust warlocks, and they think that they're kind of scummy. Maybe not so much on the horde side.
Voldemort's kind of like a warlock, yeah.
That's kind of true. Yeah, but at least on the alliance side, people think they're kind of scummy, right? Like with the holy people and all that.
Do you know the Sword of Truth, the books, the series?
Yeah, Sword of Truth. Yep. Mm-hmm.
You have those dark mages. I mean,
that's right. Yeah.
Like, there's a new series now with Nikki, and she was like a sister of the dead, something like that. I think that's somewhat a warlock.
There's definitely dark magic. Yeah, so anything that uses like dark magic. You can even claim that like vampires are in. They draining the soul to draining the blood in the soul to bring power to themselves. So that idea, and it does come with being evil. So yeah, I mean, I definitely think the warlocks have a lot to. If you want to be a good warlock, you have a lot to overcome. But you can do it in the world of Warcraft. You can definitely be a helpful, good warlock. But I think it's for the people who want to embrace that evil and embrace that chaotic side.
I think it's for also potentially the people that don't, want to be the most traditional in the sense of pursuing like that that classic arcane path or go the holy path. They're a little more against the grain, a little more free thinking potentially. I think that the differences between mage too, though, in terms of, and I think Blizzard kind of embodies it pretty good in the game, is that I don't get that same fragility sense as they do with mages. They don't seem as fragile. They seem like the fact that they can deal with
protected a bit by
with
the
their
dark.
demons,
right?
Demons,
they are protected by the underworld somewhat.
They have demon skin, right? They have this weird shit that they put on. They have they can resurrect themselves. The fact that they can even potentially have access to stuff like that.
Yep.
Yeah. So
you have your sacrifice and all that. So yeah, I mean,
think go on.
Warlocks are an interesting one. They really are. Yeah.
I think the main part, not every mage is using this dark magic, is those sacrifices they have to make. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a very interesting class, but
it is. Yeah.
I wish I would like to play.
I kind of.
Sometimes I really want to play one, but
same here.
Yeah.
I also think another reason why I'm probably going to main it, and this ties a little bit more so into the gameplay, but also a little bit into the class fantasy of it, is I think they're more self-reliant and individuals than mages.
Yeah.
Mages classically, they need someone to tank, they need someone to heal potentially. If you're not factoring in like AoE grinding and locking them all down, as a mage you're fragile, right? You need someone to help you out.
And it's not as easy mode as friggin' hunters, so.
Yep. What the fuck?
Pretty easy mode though.
I mean, they are pretty easy mode, but hunters are like basically like, here's a segue. Don't worry about walking the rest of your life. Just use the escalator instead of the stairs. Like, it's just so easy. I'm sorry.
Yeah, but I think Blizzard really did a very good job implementing the class fantasy of the Warlock in vanilla.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
The quest in Stormwind to get a demon. What is it? The Fellhunter or the Voidwalker?
I've only done Horde.
The Voidwalker. I love the Slaughtered Lamb too. I love that little underground area you go to. I remember going there for the first time, going like, "Damn, this is so cool. Warlocks are awesome. They have this little underground area.
That's what I like about shaman. I love about shamans when you do your water quest. And you go like behind the sepulcher, and it's that cool little like area.
Yeah,
right.
I like that a lot too.
I think we need Maldoron for Shaman.
Yeah, I know. We should have done that.
We're gonna do one more, guys. We're gonna do one more. We're gonna save the rest till next week because this went a lot longer than we thought. But I'm actually time is flying by. I'm having a great time.
I'm having a blast.
Nerding out.
Yeah. So what are we gonna do next? What do you guys want to see?
Put it in chat. Final one. We're gonna do one more. We'll save the rest for next week. So we'll have another.
Make it a good one.
Yeah, make it a good one. Let's see that class love in here.
While waiting, Warlocks are the class Blizzard like to joke around with, right?
Joke around?
Like if they wanted to try something new from a class fantasy not the class fantasy perspective, from a spell design perspective, they put it into the Warlock class. For example,
I know what you mean.
The summoning of the Doomguard, all the funny spells, all the special spells, they put it into the Warlock class.
That's a good point. Yeah, they have a lot of weird stuff. Yeah.
Because I think it's like their class more than any other, except for Shaman.
Yeah.
But it looks like Druid definitely won. So
yeah, we'll do Druid. But one thing that's interesting too is that Blizzard designed them almost as the inverse of mages. How mages teleport people and Warlocks summon people. That's
summon people.
Cool, right?
And Fel is the opposite of Arcane. if you look at the chart, like Fel is the opposite of Arcane. So,
yeah.
Yeah.
That is
Super
cool.
interesting.
All right, so we're gonna go Druid. We're gonna go Druid. I love Druids. I actually love Druid so much. That's a lot to unpack there. Okay, let's go Druid.
You guys should definitely start with this. This is like
you can start, Gargos.
Okay. So right off the bat, spitballing. What does a Druid mean to me, dude? I think Druid in tune with nature, right? You think Druid, you automatically think with nature. You think the nature. Shape-shifting into the different animal forms. I see Druids as self-reliant. They can get what they want from nature. Nature's kind of like on their side, so you know they're survivalists in that sense. Flexible. I think about Druids being kind of I think of them being a little softer. I don't think they're the most bloodlust, aggressive type class. They are a little bit more like humble, peaceful, tranquil, don't care about necessarily, invading X, Y, or Z. They're a little more spiritual as well. They're a little more spiritual, so they're kind of like, a little bit kind of weird potentially in that sense. But, the other thing is I think Druids are light armor. Light armor like they said, like I said before. What do you think? Help me chime in here.
But they can be tanky too. Yeah,
protectors of the forests of nature. I think that's their main goal, being in Azeroth, protecting every tree.
Do you even feel like that's above like the faction war? Like they transcend the Alliance and Horde. Like you have the Cenarian.
Yeah. I think so. Yeah. And if you watch Lord of the Rings, like most night elves, most elves are druids, right?
Really?
They're like hunters and druids. Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Yeah,
they take care of the forests. They take care of nature around them.
One thing is I don't see Taurens as druids. I wonder if that is.
Oh, really? Because I really see.
I see them as shamans, but you think so? Because they're already this big cow-looking creature. I don't see.
I love for me the Tarn. My first druid was a Tarn. Even though I played Night Elf, my first character, and I was surrounded by the whole druid thing and all that. Like when I see a Tarn, for me, it screams druid. Like Earth Mother, guide. I don't know. It's just like they are the peaceful race.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
More so than any other in the Horde, and I really feel like they embrace the druid mentality very well, even sometimes more so than the Night Elf, just because of how peaceful the druid, the Tarn are to me compared. Like the Night Elf, they have their inner turmoil, they have their shit that goes on, but I feel like to me the druid, I mean they're animals, they're basically cows, right? So like, what's more important to don't you think nature is more important to them than to the Night Elves? That's how I see it. So for me, I see. Even though, like the druids, the Night Elves are the quintessential druids, I really see Tauren as being those, guardians of nature, sometimes more so than Night Elves.
I kind of, I don't really think so. But if they had to give Horde druids, so I suppose they just gave it to Taurens because it makes the most sense.
What? How do you envision them as kind of damage dealers? I almost feel like balance is kind of makes me feel the most like druid.
See, for me it's cat. See, that's weird.
Yeah, for me it's cat as well.
Okay. Yeah, it's cat.
Yeah.
I also
because you have the druids of the claw and all that,
Okay, true. I see what you mean there, but I
know lore-wise.
The moon and the sun and stuff like that, so it's less like the forest and the animals and stuff. It's more like what's out there, like centaurs, something like that. Like centaurs from Harry Potter.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what it is, Dane? I think why I see the Tarn more so is just because I'm more of a Horde player now. I think if I played Alliance more, I would definitely see the Night Elves more of the quintessential druid. But after playing, on the Horde for so long, and that the Tarns are the only class that can be druids, it's really turned into the fact that like, for me, whenever I see a Tarn, even though they're not even, like, I see a Tarn and I almost instinctually go druid, like, right away.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I don't know, I really feel like they really embody that, like, everything you say, like, really well. And I love how, like, when someone plays a druid, right? What's the saying there? The something of many, but the master of none. They really, I think, embody that really well too, right? Because they have such a wide range of skills, but they're really like, they're great tanking, especially at low levels. But once you get high end game, like warrior's the way to go. They're great healers. They have the highest heal in the game, the most powerful heal in the game. But they're not really like the best healers. But they're still really good at healing. They do decent. They're great at leveling. I feel like they're good at like their own little thing. And I also feel like they also kind of in a way transcend the faction war in a way. So I think there's a lot of class fantasy that goes into the druid.
That is true. In game, druids especially, like they nod to each other, even if you're on a different faction, because you hang out with each other. Man, Blizzard did such a good fucking job with this game, dude. They really did. Like as we were discussing it makes me realize that they really actually put that into action. Like, so they have this Moonglade area, right? So all the druids go there and they train there and they see each other, and it's the most underrepresented class in the server. So you see the other factions, and you kind of have this understanding that Blizzard never implemented. But they actually just did it across all the servers that you don't really fuck with other druids. You kind of just let them be.
Yeah, that was a thing in Classic WoW. Druids didn't kill each other.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. I when I played a druid, which wasn't until late BC, I definitely felt that. Like I didn't really go out of my way to kill other druids. It's like you had something in common. And honestly, I didn't go out of my way to kill people. I very seldomly ganked people when I played a druid, because I embodied that kind of like you have a set of morals when I play a druid, at least, that you're like there's all these things going on, like you're in this faction for its own thing, but like when I play druid, it's like there's a sense of there's something else more important going on, and that's what I'm fighting towards.
I feel they are also very wise, just like mages, but in an entirely different way. Like mages get all their knowledge from books and stuff, and druids, they kind of more get knowledge from astronomy and things like that.
And from almost spirituality type stuff. This is another really interesting thing. So when I think druid, I don't know if you guys agree, but I don't think that they're materialistic. They're nature, right? They're natural. They like that. They don't need the materialistic stuff. You see them this embodied in their sets. They're wearing like tusks and weird like pads. And so, but then you also look in the game, and they're like very gear independent, right? They don't need some big two-handed weapon or whatever. They gear up really quickly. They're not this materialistic, obsessed type race, and that's another thing that man, you see the class fantasy, and then you see it in the game, and you're like, wow, dude, they really killed it. With
so
that.
Good.
They're one of the most strongest like class fantasy. I feel like they like. I don't know what it is. Like shamans have a really strong class fantasy, paladins and druids. I feel like they have some of the strongest story and backstory that goes with their class. Do you guys feel that way as well?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I love the skill entangling roots too, man. I gotta say, if you think about it, you're casting entangling roots on someone, and the fucking earth is like moving underneath the ground and just like trapping them there. That's so cool.
Not only that, let's talk about how much does it piss you off when you're playing like as like a mage or something like that, and you freeze and polymorph, and they just switch form and they get right out of it. Like it's so, oh my god, like they are the masters at running away. Like I don't mean that, but they're so good at it, right? Like you can, like if a druid wants to get away, he's gonna get away. He's gonna go into stealth. Like if a druid wants to fight, he'll fight. And the other thing is, like I really feel like Blizzard did a great job with this. Like druids are so good at leveling and PvP. Like, when it comes to flag carrying, they're friggin' amazing. When it comes to being that balanced hybrid druid, like, I love the druid spec where you have some points in resto, some points in balance, and some points in feral, and you can kind of, like, do everything. The jack of all trades, master of none. Thank you for putting that up in the comments. So I love that about them, and I love how Blizzard, they do this with a lot of their classes, and when people say that vanilla isn't balanced, it's not true, because you have to look at the game as a whole. When you look at PvP and when you look at leveling and PvE all together, I really believe that the game is so balanced. Because druids are so good at leveling.
Balanced in just the gameplay too, man. Like it's balanced. Dude, this game is a fucking masterpiece. I'm so glad we're doing this.
Look at hunters. Yeah. Me too. Like hunters are so good at leveling. Should they be the best DPS? Of course not. They're so strong. Like, could you imagine if hunters were the best at leveling and like one of the top DPS? Everybody would play them. Like there's a reason why warriors are really hard to level, and then they do really good endgame. You know what I mean? Like it's balanced. you have to factor in everything. You have to factor in the leveling, the gameplay.
PvP, there's so much done good,
the PvP, the PvE.
The fact that you can have
balanced.
these unique class identities with, I'm looking at these categories, immersive, distinctive, you feel empowered, you feel cool. Vanilla, we talk about this all the time, that it does such a great job of you see another class and you get so jelly of that other class. Like, oh man, dude, it must be so good to play that other class. They did that for all 9 classes and balanced them not only with regard to gameplay and made each viable in their own way, but the lore and fantasy was still so rich and flavorful.
They're super distinctive from each other, and that's the real problem in the game today.
Yeah, yeah.
So they might have a very good design, a balance. I mean, regarding the damage numbers and the healing numbers today, but that's really all that's left from the fantasy.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's really interesting. Like, I love the people who, you know, play their class and they play it because, you know, it's not just the numbers on there; it's what they feel. You know, I know a lot of people like to play, you know, hunters. Like, someone's just said that everyone plays hunter. Like, I know so many people when they first start playing, they want to race to 60, they play a hunter. They get to level 60, they get bored, then they play the class they want to play. It's so many people jump the gun and say, oh, I'm going to play a hunter because I want to get to level 60 really quick. And then you get to level 60 and you're bored as hell. You know, when you notice, like, I notice so many times when new servers come out, there's a shit ton of hunters. But then as the server gets older, the hunters go, like, the number of hunters go down so low. So low. I mean, it's crazy. Like,
but it's also because new players tend to go for a hunter for whatever reason.
Yeah. So you have the new players, you have the people who just want to get to 60 quick. Maybe they want to have a main that can make some money, so they have a hunter, and then they play the class they really want to play. Whether it's the mage or whatever, now they have a 60, they can make some gold, transfer that gold to that person. You know, I really feel like, and of course there are the people who love to play hunter at endgame, but like you really get rewarded when you play hunter during the leveling process. You really get rewarded when playing a druid during the leveling process, a little bit less, as much, but very close, and all in PvP. And the same with hunter.
There's that whole other aspect of PvP though that adds another factor of balance into the mix. And when you look at everything, big picture, you look at PvP, you look at PvE, you look at leveling, it's this masterpiece, dude. It all comes together so beautifully into this package, and that's why people love the game so much, man. They love the game so much. Yeah. Because
it was simple, like it was simple but yet elegant, you know. And like Sharky said, like the game became so much about numbers now. So much about making all the classes similar. Oh, this class does this much amount of DPS, so does he. But then you got rid of all the amazing things that made that class great in the first place. When you homogenize them and make them all the same, they lose that character. They lose that aspect, and we wouldn't even be talking about class fantasy in regards of retail because it's not there as strong as it was as it is. You know, it's there to a point.
Even though I don't like the dark classes like Rogue and Warlock, I still want to play them every now and then, and I level them to level 25 or something because everything is super unique, and you want to try everything every now and then, and that's something I just don't feel in retail. I played a mage, and I don't even know.
I hate my mage in retail. It
doesn't matter. If I play a Warlock, it's exactly the same. So.
Yeah, it's exactly the same. Like you have a little bit of spell differences, like, oh, you can do this and that. But when it comes to like PvE and like even PvP, it feels so similar. I'm like, maybe they have a little bit, you know, they're a little more tanky because they're not as maneuverable. But when it comes to like
their spells
PvE,
just have a different color, and that's
especially like they have their big like with the healers, they have their quick healing spell. You have your big healing spell, and then you know you have a little bit of variance when it comes to like bubbles and stuff like that.
Super stupid in my opinion. I mean, paladins were always like the most unique healer with the very cheap fast heals until
and shamans with chain heal.
Anyway, every cheap heal now, every fast heal now in retail is always an expensive heal. Also for paladins. So every healer is exactly the same.
Pretty much, I mean,
and that's why they have to have these panels where they're talking about immersion.
Exactly.
I put them on here thinking that we were going to rank these, right? For those who are just turning in. And I'm thinking to myself, God damn, every class is so awesome, dude. Like,
that's so true.
Just
so true.
Everything is 10 on 10.
10 out of 10.
Classic.
They needed it in the 2015 BlizzCon because it's so hard. Like in vanilla, it was so easy to see it.
And I was a little hyped when they did it. And then I picked a paladin, and I felt like I was playing my mage. I mean, the only difference was that I was standing in melee range, but that's that's it, man. The spells were light yellow instead of white for a frost mage, and nothing else changed.
Yeah, like, I mean, paladins, like someone said, they're really great single target heals. But then you have like discipline priests who became great single target healers. You have like in Wrath of the Lich King, like it really changed. Remember in vanilla when there was really only 2 classes that had AOE healing spells. I mean, you had priests who could AOE heal, and you had shamans who could AOE heal. That was it. Like that was it.
Yo, I'm gonna end the stream here though. There's someone at the door.
Yeah.
But yo, I'm gonna host Sharana, show Sharana some love. I'll see you guys next time.
Nice.
Have a good one. Thanks for tuning in today, boys.
Peace.
See you next time. Peace out. Follow Dunedain and Death Camp. Talk to you guys later. Peace out.